Everybody, we are back in Houston, Texas at the 2026 Republican Party of Texas Convention. I've got my good friend, Representative Brent Money from HD2 out in East Texas with us. Brent, welcome to Houston. Convention time is here. You've been making the rounds. I've seen you in different places. What is your agenda? What are you here to do and accomplish? What are some narratives, some things you've seen, maybe observations you've made? How's it going so far here in Houston?
Yeah, there's a lot of energy and excitement. I think people recognize that we have to win in November. And so there's, I think, a lot of unity and the right kind of unity where people are focused on the issues. Like, these are the issues we have to win on. And so, the issues I'm focused on, obviously, I'm the chairman of the Sharia-Free Texas Caucus.
That's
so
right.
Defend Texas, defeat Sharia. We cannot have a parallel legal system here in Texas. Our legal system, our values, our culture are built on a Christian foundation.
Yeah.
And that can't coexist in a Muslim-based Sharia type thing that oppresses women and doesn't allow for free speech and all of that. So I'm focused on that. Also, equal protection for the unborn.
Yeah.
Texas has done a lot of great things in the pro-life area, but we're still seeing tens of thousands of babies murdered each year. And what we've done is we've just whittled it down to where only one person is ever allowed to murder an unborn baby, and that's that own baby's mother.
Yeah.
And I just say, the safest place in the world for a baby should be its own mother's womb.
Yeah.
And so we need to get back to that in Texas. We need to protect babies with the same laws that protect all of us. And so I'm focused on that as well. But man, we got a lot of issues in Texas, a lot of opportunities for us to grow and improve as a state.
Yeah.
And I'm here for all of it.
Brent, I've got a problem with you as a rep, okay? And that is, I'll give you an example, okay? So like 6 months ago, you told me, hey, I want to be a champion on eliminating property taxes. And then I think before that, you said, hey, I want to be a champion on banning taxpayer-funded lobbying. And I think the problem with you is you can't be a champion on everything all the time, Brent. You got to give some issues and leave some for the rest of us to work on too,
Well, I want to work hard on those things. I'm not worried about, whether I'm the one that carries the bill or whether I'm the one that gets the credit for it. That is of real no interest to me. And so really what I did last session, and I'll do it even more this session.
Talk to us about the process. What does that mean? What does that look like to advance something and not be like the author? Because like the people down in Austin, right, they would have you believe that if you don't have your name at the top of that bill, that that's the only person who can be responsible for anything in Austin. Right. But a lot of times some of the best lawmakers are not the person who are authoring the bill. So what does it mean to like steward an issue like you intend to in Austin? What does that process look like? What are you doing when that is taking place?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about banning taxpayer-funded lobbying for one. I had a bill last session, but a lot of people had good bills.
Yeah.
And so because that was an issue that a lot of people were pushing, I didn't run to the front of the line and be like, hey, you got to use my bill because, okay, other people have that one.
Right.
But when it got stalled, I was one that went to the back mic and challenged, the speaker, the House leadership, the chairman, and said, hey, we need to get this moving. Why has it been stuck in committee? Why has Mays Middleton's bill passed? It's been sitting in committee so long. Made motions to try to move it out. So I'm willing to do the hard work that maybe other people aren't willing to do, whatever that may be. On the equal protection bill, there's a lot of people that agree with me, but they don't feel equipped to be the one to carry it. So okay, I'll be willing to carry that. On Sharia-Free Texas, it is a very complicated issue. It is fraught with political and legal and constitutional concerns. And a lot of people that feel passionately about it, and they're smart people, they're capable, but I'm willing to do the work to push that narrative. And there's going to be some bills that I carry, perhaps. There's going to be some bills that a lot of other people in the legislature carries. It's like I'm willing, just put me in, coach.
Yeah.
I'll do the work that needs to be done on the things that are most important. And if that's carrying the bill, I'll carry it. If someone else is better to carry it and I can cheerlead it from the side or try to blow through obstacles for them, I'm happy to do that.
I was able to serve on the Legislative Priorities Committee towards the top of our list. Every convention, it feels like it moves further up. But right there at the top is the ban on taxpayer-funded lobbying. So you carried a bill last time. You said there were several. I guess my question is this the year it gets done? Like, do you think in January there's, I think we're operating on the assumption that tomorrow it's going to pass and it's going to be probably a top 3 priority from the delegates, okay? Is that enough to push it over the edge? What needs to happen? Is it already in the books? Are we going to do it this session? What's the thinking in Austin about this issue?
I think a lot of that depends on November.
Yeah.
If we have a 76-74 majority as Republicans,
Sure.
it ain't happening.
Sure.
If it's 88-62 like last time,
Yeah.
and you see some of the people who have retired or moved on or people that were probably not in favor of it, I think we can get there. Obviously last year it was stuck in a committee where the committee chairman had very strong feelings against it.
Yeah.
And the thing that I think people have to understand about the way that the House is constructed, and this is very frustrating when you're the majority party in power, is the House is constructed to kill bills, not to pass bills. And you could argue it should kill a lot more.
Perhaps.
And it's like, okay, we
Perhaps
passed 1,100 bills into law. I wish it had been 400, but it had been the 400 that I picked.
Well, yeah.
Instead of,
If we only pass 1,100 of yours.
yeah.
Brent,
So
then,
anyway,
wow.
I think, some of it depends on which committee is it in. And so one of the things we're looking at, and obviously we have a Speaker of the House now. We haven't elected our next Speaker of the House. But as Speaker Burrows tries to get reelected as Speaker, or I don't know if other people will say they want to run, I hope that we'll have a process in place in the rules that allow, if something that is popular is stuck in a committee where it's not popular,
Right.
that we have some mechanism to move it to another committee.
Recourse for the body.
Correct.
To
for the
move
body.
what the body wants.
Right.
Like, for example, on ban taxpayer-funded lobbying, Representative Alcott, I think, had 72, 73 co-authors on that bill. Why did that bill die? It's just bewildering to the average grassroots Texan.
That's right. And so I think that we need a mechanism, and it, the way that the rules read, it should be that if someone brings a motion and it's second, and 76 people in the body want a bill to move out of a committee or be transferred from this committee to that committee, we should be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so that's just one mechanism, and I don't want to.
Are there any other reforms? We had legislative priorities did move into the 15 a package of bills that was titled "Reform the Texas House." If you are in charge of the House rules process, Brent, what are some things that you think shift more authority away from the Speaker's chair to the members, and then also help amplify the voice and participation of everyday, ordinary grassroots Texans? What are some initial things that you would take up, think go a long way to that end? Yeah,
I think the first one, and we just talked about it, but is the ability to make motions on the floor of the House that can, change where bills are in the process, to get them out of a committee, get them out of calendars.
Right.
And those rules are in existence, but right now there's kind of an overarching rule that says no motion. I'm not quoting the rule, but that the Speaker has to recognize a motion.
Right.
And so it's his pure discretion whether or not to recognize the motion.
Yeah.
And so that really neuters the body. The body doesn't have the ability to say, hey, 149 of us want this, but the Speaker doesn't want it. We can't. That's absurd. But you know
Sure.
what I'm saying? So I think
Maybe a little hyperbolic.
a little
but the point
hyperbole.
remains.
Right. So if you're stuck where the committee chairman won't pass the bill, even if it's a 10-1 in the committee and the chairman's the only one that doesn't want it, he just won't call for a hearing.
Yeah.
Won't call for a vote, and there's nothing you could do to get it out. And so we need some of those kinds of things. Other things that I think are open for discussion. And honestly, this is my second term, going into my second term.
Yeah.
There might be very good reasons, and so I don't want to act like I'm the expert. If there are people who have been around longer that say there's good reason why that's not the case, but
Sure.
It used to be in the House that the members of the House had significant say into what committees people got put on, who the chairman of the committees were, where bills got referred in the first place. Over time, as what happens in almost any representative government is, instead of, doing the hard work of negotiating and debating all of those issues, they said, wouldn't it be a lot more convenient to just let our speaker do it? My gosh, we've elected the guy.
Yeah,
so
once
we've elected him, we trust him, let him do it. And so they've given away power in return for convenience.
Yeah.
And then that's really hard to ever get that power back once you've given it away.
Yeah. Last thing, you and I have visited about this some already, but in the list of 15 legislative priorities that will make its way to delegates is a priority called Abolish the Texas Lottery, Stop Predatory Gambling. Will you talk to me just a little bit about some of the work that you did last session to help rein in this scandal-plagued, kind of gross, corrupt entity? It's a government program that has a long history of trouble, and what are the prospects of it going away, rather? And then lastly, do legislative priorities work? What are we doing here? Is this important? Maybe that's the overarching kind of narrative of the question there.
Let me answer the second one first.
Yeah.
Which is, once again, I've only been there one session, but man, last session we got a lot of things pushed through because they were legislative priorities.
Right.
And I think, to the House leadership's credit, they recognized, hey, the failure of previous leadership to pass legislative priorities ended up in a lot of our friends not showing up again. And so maybe we need to do a better job of paying attention to what needs to happen there.
You mean the Texas House has become self-aware?
I think the Texas House is growing in self-awareness. I don't think we've arrived.
Yeah.
But I think there was and it wasn't, and I don't even want to make it sound like it was like disgruntled. It was like, okay, this is a legislative priority, let's get that moving.
Yeah.
And so it's good when you're looking at 8,000 bills that have been filed,
right,
trying to identify which ones, if we passed it, would be praised by the people who vote for us is really helpful.
Yeah.
Like, not even in a cynical way.
Yeah.
But just like, okay, I like, because I think some of the things, if you talk with members from the previous sessions, maybe the 87th and 88th, they would say, we did really good things and we didn't get credit for them.
Right.
Right. And so to just be as charitable as we can to that position, the grassroots is telling them up front, these are the ones you'll get credit for.
Yeah,
and they're like, okay,
these ones will make us happy.
Then let's do it.
Yeah.
And so, we can look at that and be, and just be like, oh, they only do things if we tell them what to do. They should know. No, this is a communication business.
Right.
Right. We need to communicate with the voters as elected officials, and the voters need to communicate with us. And the party has done a very good job of building an infrastructure to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that is important. So now let's talk about gambling
and the lottery
in particular. So the lottery was...
First, explain to us what happened last session. So real briefly, there was an opportunity to do away with the Texas lottery as a result of an amendment that you brought. So talk to us about that. What happened? What was the result of that contest?
Yeah, well, it actually started a little before that. So the lottery, like almost every state agency, is under a sunset provision.
Yeah.
And so is it 8 years?
Yeah.
You have to renew and say, yes, we want to continue this agency. And so the Texas Lottery Commission was up on sunset. And the first kind of test vote was during the budget process. We passed instructions to the Senate from the House saying, we want you to not fund the lottery.
Yeah.
We want you to defund the lottery. So that was the first test vote. It was good. I don't remember what the count was, but it passed it. It's defunding the Lottery Commission because it was plagued with scandal.
Right.
If you don't remember, there was allegations of cartel involvement.
Yeah.
There's allegations of one person buying pretty much all of the tickets, or one entity
right,
buying pretty much all the tickets.
So there was a $95 million Texas Lotto jackpot that was rigged with help from inside the Texas Lottery Commission. That part we know. is found within the Texas Rangers investigation. The former executive director of the Texas Lottery Commission and the Texas Lottery Commission itself are now facing first-degree felony charges of government abuse of office. So we've come this far. Y'all didn't even have necessarily all of that information at the time.
It was
y'all
coming out in real
this.
time.
Right.
And I mean, we had like this sting operation video that the lieutenant governor did where he just walked in and into one of these what do you
strip mall filled with Texas Lottery Commission devices.
Machines. Yeah. And which is not allowed.
No. You walk into a gas station, you might find 2 of them if they sell a ton of lottery tickets. This place, it was like over 3 dozen were given to this entity over the course of a very short period of time.
Right. And so that was all happening in real time. So when the
terminals, that was the word we were looking for.
So when the sunset bill was moving through the process, it was kind of held up a lot and Bob Hall was able to negotiate in order to get out of the Senate a good bill that got rid of the Lottery Commission, put the lottery under the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, said, hey, there's going to be a study over the next 2 years to figure out whether or not there's, we even should have a lottery.
Right.
And then instead of waiting 8 years, we're going to do 4 years. The lottery sunsets unless it's automatically approved again by the legislature.
Right.
So when that got to the floor of the House, I brought an amendment to say, hey, we don't need to wait 4 years to decide whether or not to sunset the lottery.
You made the case we've had this thing for 30 plus years. We know everything we need to know.
Let's just end it right now.
Right.
And so I brought an amendment to end the lottery immediately, made the case that the lottery, when run as it should be, is shameful. And when it run as it has been, it's scandalous. And, it is a tax on poor people and people that can't do math.
Right.
It's the worst tax that we can put on people. When you go to Las Vegas, by law, they are required to return between 90 and 98% of all of the money that is bet back to the people who play. So on average, you go to Vegas, on average, you're going to lose 2 to 10% of whatever you bet over time. In the lottery, it's about a third. You're going to lose about a third. And it has not, and so that's just how bad it is for the people who play it, but it also hasn't delivered what it promised to Texans.
Yeah.
Instead of giving us, it was going to be the answer to our education funding problem.
Right.
And instead, it's just been an avenue for corruption.
Yeah.
And it funds 2 days, 3 days of school.
Right.
We can fund school a different way.
And the veteran stuff too. I've had several people, of course, mention that, hey, if we get rid of the lottery, where's that veterans funding? I think it's about $150 million a year that comes from the Texas Lottery. I say, that is something that you, as a lawmaker, a legislator, an appropriator, can find very easily.
Yeah.
Even the $3.6 billion that the lottery brings in is still less than 1% of state government budget.
That's right.
It's nothing in the
we
grand
can fund
scheme
those
of things.
Right. Without funding it through the poorest people in Texas.
That's right.
And the other thing that I pointed out, I think, is if people aren't spending money on that, they're going to spend that money likely on other taxable things.
Sure.
And then we still get revenue off of that. And so anyway, the answer to kind of the question is, when I brought that amendment, not knowing where it was going to go, not knowing what it was going to do, that bill failed on the House floor, but 58-71.
Yeah.
Not bad.
That's right.
I mean, 13 vote difference.
Yeah.
And obviously there were people who weren't on the floor at the time. We don't know.
More than 13 people won't be coming back.
That's right.
There's 16, 18, some odd new members that we're anticipating coming in, provided there's no change in November, right? So even that number could change even more. I think we'll have a fresh, clean slate. I tell people this, Brent, and you tell me if I'm barking up the right tree here, but we're doing everything we can to address the Texas lottery scandal this session. And if we're not able to eliminate or abolish the Texas lottery, we're going to put Texas in a really great spot to do so in 2029.
Right.
When you guys bring it up for sunset again. Is that fair? And Do you think that's possible?
Absolutely. I think 2029 is a near certainty at this point, unless there's a big electoral change, because I think people are currently in the House, currently in the Senate, are aware of how bad the issue is, and actually affirmatively voting to keep doing it is going to be a tough sell for the pro-lottery folks.
Sure.
At the same time, we have work to do to get enough people to push through the process to actively kill it.
Including it as a legislative priority would be a great first step.
That would be a great first step.
Yeah.
And I don't get a vote because I'm not a delegate.
Yeah.
But I'd put it in my top 8 for sure. I think it sends such a good message and a good signal for what kind of state we want to be when we're not going to have the state government pillaging the poorest people among us.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. We're wrapping up here with State Representative Brent Money from House District 2 in East Texas. Brent, any parting words for delegates here at convention or the folks at home watching from there?
Yeah, I really appreciate the work that Texans for Fiscal Responsibility does. I wasn't paid to say this. But really, of all the scorecards that come out, and there's a lot of good ones, this one is really the one that focuses in on limited government, reining in spending. I'm a little disappointed I came in tied for second. I'm going to do better next time. But if Andy Hopper was here, he would say I came in fourth, but it was tied for second.
That's right.
And so, I really appreciate the work that you do. And during session, informing the legislators on what bills are coming up, and what the fiscal impact of those things are, because there's a lot of people out there that don't care about all the same cultural issues that I care about. They just want the government out of the way so that they can provide for their family.
Right.
And the government has become way too obtrusive, way too involved in our business. And so, continue to support Texas for Fiscal Responsibility. Look at the stuff that they post on their website, because it's really good work.
Thanks. I do want to touch on one thing that you mentioned. It's good at the top. You like being at the top of the index. Everybody fights for who's the most conservative member of the Texas legislature. But I'll say this, your freshman class, I think, helped encourage an environment or a culture even of wanting to do better, wanting to perform at the level that the delegates expect, right? Because we're here, there's a lot of really great conservative people. The most conservative, most involved people are all here right now. And they want to see a legislature that listens to them and is responsive to them. And for a long time, the convention, the delegates had been a lot more conservative than the members of the Texas House or the Texas Senate. I think we're seeing a shift, and people are starting to pay attention. I think conservative bills have life. And I think your freshman class is having fun, delivering results, having these fights, whether it be with leadership or with more moderate elements of the caucus or with Democrats on the floor, which is something that even 4 or 6 years ago was not encouraged. It certainly wasn't endorsed. But talk to me about just that shift, right? There are more taxpayer champions this past session than there were the previous. There are more people who passed the Fiscal Responsibility Index than did previous. In fact, 19 people from 2023 who got an F in 2025 got a C or a B. And so 19 people's scores improved, right? And there were more taxpayer champions than before. So there's a shift happening. Just real quick before we close out, talk to us about what's happening in your body in particular.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think adding, you have a body of 150 people. It's kind of its own kind of organism community. And when you have 4 or 5, 6 people who are taxpayer champions, sometimes they can be seen as just the outliers. They're over there. We're trying to work and do the work of the House, and these people are over here just causing trouble. When all of a sudden that number isn't 5 or 6, it's 25 or 26.
Yeah, it's 24 plus.
Then you're like, okay, maybe they're onto something. I don't want to be number 40.
Yeah.
And so I think there's some positive peer pressure that's happening. I also think it's indisputable that the leadership of the House is more conservative under Dustin Burrows than it was under Dade Phelan.
Yeah.
And can it be better? Yes. Should it be better? Yes. Should we be satisfied with where it is? No. But I think it's fair to also acknowledge it's better than it was.
Sure.
And so I think things that, and I think some of that people looked at the failure, like, why did we lose 15 of our friends?
Right.
Was it 15 incumbents
I'm not
that lost?
sure.
Or
it's
maybe
somewhere between a dozen and 18.
somewhere. Anyway, all of these incumbents that lost in 2024, yeah, it was Paxton.
Among Republicans, especially. I'm not sure the
Republicans,
exact number.
But it was Paxton.
But a dozen
it was
again,
choice.
it was more than that last time.
But
so
either
there's
way,
a pattern.
I think people looked and said, okay, the grassroots has teeth.
Yeah.
They have expectations, and I want to do the right thing. And there were also, I think, a lot of people, and you point out well, I think there are people who actually are conservative at their core that didn't maybe have the courage to vote the way they wanted to because they thought there would be repercussions from leadership.
Right.
And partly because of better leadership, partly because of more cover from people who are saying, I'm voting right no matter what happens.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, well, then I'll vote with you guys. And,
Right.
and if the
Plus,
board...
you guys are having fun.
Yeah.
That's an argument I make, is people look and they go, you guys have a certain joyful warrior spirit about what you're trying to do. This reformer caucus, we haven't called it that yet, but this group of 24, maybe sometimes close to 36 people that are willing to take a differing perspective than from either leadership or the establishment or the lobby or however you want to characterize it. And that looks like a pretty good time.
It's a lot of fun. And, there's been people who have had fun when they were very, very small minority. I mean, Jonathan Stickland was a happy warrior almost all the time. But he was one of a handful,
Yeah. There were hard nights in the legislature when you're, a 3 to 6 man team trying to take on the whole
Tony
world
Tinderholt
by
was a
yourself.
happy warrior by himself for a long time. There have been people like that. But, man, I will also say, Tony, Steve Toth, Brian Harrison, Nate Schatzline have all told me as we were coming in, there were a lot of days that they had to take a deep breath before they walked into the house thinking, I'm going to walk onto the floor and I don't know if I'm going to have a single friend who's there.
Yeah.
And, man, every day we have friends. We're excited. I mean, and not friends because they're just people that we like. Friends because they are in the battle with us, and we're fighting for the same things, so it's a wonderful time to be a conservative member of the Texas House.
Yeah. Brent, you're not even a delegate, but you're here. Thanks for that. I know the grassroots, the people of Texas, these delegates here of the Republican Party all appreciate it. They notice. And thanks for taking some time to spend with us today. This has been Representative Brent Money from HD2 in East Texas. We're wrapping up the 2026 RPT State Convention from Houston. We'll have more content coming for you real quick. Thanks so much.